Hydra's an interesting choice. I think it's a sneaky snipe pick for the map, and we didn't see Hydra play it at all yet today, so somebody else that we might not have, or that Prime might not have really been thinking too much about before they went into this match.
Yeah, I really like this play, actually. Thinking about it more and more, it was a big surprise to see this guy on the stage, especially with Hero and Young in your lineup. You're thinking maybe one of those guys, maybe even Young for Gangnam Terran, but here we see Hydra. Big snipe. I think creators, we saw him in the booth like talking to his coaches in there and the referees, and he was like freaking out a little bit. He's like, uh-oh, wasn't expecting this. And this is a matchup he was not prepared for. It's going to be something totally different on a different map, and he's just got to play a straight-up game here against a guy who is totally prepared.
Well, Choya has been talking to him since even before the player was revealed on the side. And now
has some secret build now.
Yeah, it's almost like he's showing him some sort of plan or some sort of idea. Maybe Choya's well-versed at... I mean, I know Choya plays on the ladder a lot, and I think he probably plays on the ladder more than anyone else on the team, I would guess. You know, I probably have to ask State to confirm that, but back in the days of FOU FXO, he played on the ladder all the time. I see him stream a lot. He's always top GM because he plays so many games. I wonder if he's just like, no, I've hit these weird Zerg builds on this map so many times that it could be this one, this one, this one, or this one based on what you scout, and he's like showing him little places on the map. You know, I highly doubt he's in there like showing him how to hotkey his units better or something. So actually only Monday Caster thinks creator. Everyone else I think is riding on this hype idea of like, okay, he's got a special plan here. Creator's just thinking he's just gonna play a standard Protoss versus X game on this map because he's the best player on the team. But it seems like everyone else, you know, the casters is like, all right, I think Hydra's got some sort of plan here, and I think it's gonna work.
Yeah, you know, even. Well, if we saw these two going up against each other in a normal, everyday Pro League day, not in an ace match, and it was said that it was going to be the lineups from, you know, week before and these guys are practicing for it, I would vote for Creator, especially since, you know, I have a famous, you know, not much confidence in Hydra. But just going off this hype, going off the fact that Hydra is definitely prepared with a very strong build on this map, which is a map which leads to a ton of crazy builds, especially with the gold base there. I'm definitely feeling the Hydra hype right now.
Well, what sort of build do you think he's going to do? Do you think it's going to be based off of the gold base with economy in mind or aggression? Because Hydra is always known for his timings, you know, his attacks, and not really his late game.
Yeah, I mean, something we've seen out of Zergs on this map, if they do go for timings, is going for the gold base, going for roaches, and going for roach timing. So that's like your standard everyday rush on this match, ZVP, even ZVT sometimes. Out of Hydra in this match, it seems like it's definitely very, very prepared. It may just be the same thing, or it could just be something that we're not even expecting, something we haven't seen before. It's definitely possible. I don't know if they would bring it out here against Prime, but who knows?
Well, I think the world is waiting and watching. Creator, a great defensive player, somebody who we've seen always go to the late game, smooth and steady. But Hydra, some crazy timings out of him on regular maps, you know, even with just regular bases. Now on this particular map with the short rust distance and a gold base, we could see something crazy here. It all comes down to this. Prime in dire straits in the rankings. CJ wanted to hold on to their top 4. Only one will take the win today. It comes down to the final set on Habitation Station.
LTA는 SK텔레콤.
Up here in the top left, in the purple for Prime, the Protoss player, he is back. It is Creator.
And to the top right in yellow, our Zerg player, Sejantis. It's Hydra, the Kings of Timings. You know, once dubbed one of the worst players of Pro League, suddenly making some really nice comebacks. Great performance in Code A as well. I'm liking this guy more and more the more time goes on. And not just because he does a lot of aggressive timings, because I've always been a player and a commentator, a broadcaster who loves these sort of aggressive players who a player like Tastar, for example, I know he's not as successful as Hydra, but look at him and I go, all right, you've built a career off of these timings. How have you done this? How do you keep qualifying for these tournaments without really having macro in mind? Look at Hydra almost the same way. Like, you just keep hitting timings every time I commentate your games, and your opponents know this about you. They study you, and they look at you and say, you're always just going to do some sort of specific timing. Your ID is Hydra, for Pete's sake. So, I mean, he's probably going to hit me with some Hydraless timing or some Roach timing. Got to be ready for that. And he's built a successful career off of that sort of mentality. Of course, Hydra will throw a macro game in every now and then, but it's pretty rare. And look at this, a pool first.
Definitely different here. If I had to place Hydra within the CJ Antis lineup and give them like a name, I'd give them like the Technician or something, like a guy maybe in like, what is one of those NBA games where he has like a very high level of technique. It's not like a guy who you're going to be very happy in the super late game going super macro here, but he's going to have these weird timings. Now hold that thought. He is going to go for the gold base here. This is definitely something we were expecting given the fact that he's coming out in the ace match for a snipe.
The pool first, I think, is because he thinks that to go for a hatchery first onto the gold base is too... I mean, the gold base itself is predictable, right? It's pretty obvious. He's picked on this map as a Zerg player, not the normal pick for this map. He's going to take the gold base. So if Creator went for a Forge first and Cannon the gold base, then he might just win the game straight up. So he's got to go pool first, and I think it's fine because he's going to be able to get that faster queen with this too, get a few more injects, and get those drones out, slide them over to the gold base to get that saturation up nicely. The question is he ever going to take a third base at his natural? Is he going to play a macro game? Or is he going to try to hit some sort of 3-base timing, a 2-base timing? He's taking gas here, but that doesn't really tell us a whole lot just yet. It's more about how he's going to use that and how much he mines.
Yep. We're going to see this build come into fruition soon enough. Very nice micro on those lings, I have to say, out of Hydra. He's not just having them follow the probe. He's actually microing it so it gets one extra hit, trying to keep the shields down, trying to get as much health down as possible. We see not even the shields regenning here.
Yeah. Every time he turns, he takes a hit, even if it's a slight turn.
That's hard to do, man. Kill a probe on this very small map with slow links. He's able to do it. And he's even able to scout this Nexus coming out here of Creator as well.
Scouts the timing, knows it's a gateway build. Obviously seen it earlier with the Overlords as well, but just getting some extra confirmation. And the 2 extra gates coming down. Mothership core about to pop as well. Warp gate research halfway done. And we'll see what Creator has planned himself. He might try to punish this gold base with a gateway timing, since it's so far away from the natural. And Link speed is going to be a little bit later with this particular build as well. Something he doesn't really know the timing of because he hasn't been able to get that probe into the main base, something you talked about a lot with that meticulous Zergling deny. Now he's going to come over here and try to confirm. And with the Stalker to kind of protect that probe a little bit more, could actually force his way in there. He's actually going to go, I think, and check the natural first. Oh no, he's just going to drop that pawn, so he is going to be aggressive as expected.
We see 2 more gateways coming down here. This is definitely an aggressive early gateway timing to punish against these units that are coming out of Hydra now. 12 lings on the way. Zergling speed right now only halfway done. He's going for an extra hatchery there. These 2 units are going to start poking at the queen. Or actually, rather, he decides to back off, wants to be a little bit safe because he knows that the Zerglings are going to be popping out. And now he's going to start poking at those drones. Doesn't want to get surrounded here. Gets one of these Stalkers actually surrounded here. Nice catch at a Hydra.
Yeah, really nice catch, but you know, without speed, he's not going to be able to finish this off. And this is a lot of Stalkers coming out. But the thing to remember here is speed is about to be done. So this recall is really the tool of most importance right now. As soon as speed finishes, he's going to recall out. He wants to force as many lings as possible and take as many down as he can. He needs to recall right now. Loses 1 Stalker, and will lose 2.
Late recall there.
Yeah, I mean, that was... It's I mean, about as fast as he could have recalled, but he didn't know speed was going to finish right then. If he could have recalled faster, obviously that would have been better, but how does he know when speed's going to finish? He really doesn't.
Yeah.
But he forced so many lings that now the worker count is much in favor of Creator here. But don't forget that one of those bases is a gold base, so that's a little bit okay here for Hydra.
Yeah, he's able to get a bunch of these drones out here, especially with the 3 base right now, 3 hatcheries. And he's going to go for this lair. Still no Roach Warren. What are we going to see out of him? It seems like it's a Hydra Den coming out of Hydra. Now this makes sense.
It all is coming together. Twilight Council comes up for Creator as well as the +1 upgrade. And that's a long way away from Colossus Tech. So obviously Blink Stalkers can help quite a bit against Hydras. especially if you're on 2 base, but trying to hold a third against this many Hydras that are about to pop out with this 3-base economy with gold. Not so sure. How many drones does he have? He has 41. See if he actually makes any more, or if he's just going to, as I say, go ham here.
Go ham.
Is that what he's going to do?
He's got 9 more on the way, so he's going to go up there to 49, maybe even add a couple more there, maybe up to, actually adding a lot here. Wants to at least get these 3 bases saturated first. He knows that Creator has seen it.
Yeah,
and
I want to point out that he showed an evolution chamber. Like he was trying to say, aha, look, I'm just going to play a macro game. And then I thought he was going to maybe just go hard on the Hydras and cut drones, but then he made a bunch of drones. But the economy for him is now better as a result. He has Overlord Speed on the way and a Roach Warren. Overlord Speed's going to give him a little bit more scouting, but it could also be for a follow-up with drop. I just don't think that's a good build for this map at these times. He cancels it, in fact, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, we're seeing the speed. Are we going to see drop and just a Doom drop into the main and Hydra on this map?
We saw somebody try that once.
That would be cool. We
saw somebody try that once in Code A. I cannot remember who it was for the life of me, but it failed. It did not go well.
Would expect as much. Hydra trying to get the probe that was going to make the 3rd base. Didn't quite get it. Creator supporting that probe now. Bunching up a bunch of those Hydras now. But here he comes with the Zerglings, and this base is not getting enough. You know, it hasn't gotten enough, so there's the cancel. What I'm trying to say, it hasn't been building for long enough, so it doesn't have much health there.
Right, a building that's in construction, its hit points coincide to its production time, so the longer the building has started, the more chance it has of surviving while it's building, is what Brendan is really pointing out here. And since that Nexus was so newly constructed, it didn't work. And now we see Overlord Speed is restarted and is 3/4 of the way done. A few more Hydras coming out here, and still there's no Colossus tech, so it's basically pure gateway units of +2 and Blink versus a ton of Hydras with a few Roaches to support. He's about to have +1 for that, but it's going to be +2 on these Blink Stalkers. Counterattack happens to make sure there's no 3rd Nexus going up. Meanwhile, this attack is getting closer and closer, and these two are just basically going to run into each other head-on with 2 very strong armies. He's going to catch some reinforcements here as well.
Nice job. He's going to force this push back, and it's really buying him time to get out a ton of Lings, a ton of Hydras now, and he has a great concave here. The one thing he doesn't have is the upgrades. He finally gets the +1, but he's 1 down. Creator having that +2 about to finish here.
But it's not ready yet. Now it's done. And here come the Hydras. They're taking some great damage here on this Gateway army. Guardian Shield helps out quite a bit, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. There's so many Hydralists here. He's got a lot reinforcing as well. There's no Hydralist speed, but he's fighting on creep. A few Lings coming in, but Blink Stalker Micro from Creator might be what wins him this game. This is still really close right now.
It's so close to Time Warp, doing so well here for Creator, actually, and it looks like with some Warpins he may be able to do, but still so many Hydras, and now the Lings coming in from behind. Looks like it's finally going to be able to push that attack. So close for both sides.
This isn't over yet, but I really feel with Hydralist speed about to finish up and these 12 additional Hydras coming out, Creator doesn't have anything to fall back to. He doesn't have Colossus tech, he doesn't have a 3rd base, and he doesn't have a chance. If this Hydralist speed finishes and he takes 1 more engagement here, the Blink Stalker Micro has to be absolutely perfect. Attacking into this I don't think is going to work, and I don't think there's any way for him to just walk home either. Few more Stalkers being warped in here, and Hydra just taking a commanding lead in this game, a great defense. Creator's Micro was good, but the composition that Hydra built was much better.
Now Hydra speed just finishing. It looks like he might go for the attack. Still waiting for some of these Hydras to come out, making 9 Roaches as well. Definitely needs those in his army to tank.
Soak up some damage.
This is so close. Hydra is just making my heart stop, just going in, out, in, out.
A bunch of Overseers in here are actually going to stop any Colossus production, I think is the idea. Or actually, no, he's going for Gates as he sees that there's no robotic support base. So he's really just trying to slow down these Warpins. These Zealots are caught at the back a little bit, which means Zerglings get good surface area. Now they blink back, which means they don't have a lot of blink to work with against this many Hydralists. A few Roaches coming out as well. And I don't think Creator has enough, even with those Warpins. The Hydras are now on top of his Blink Stalker army, and it looks like this Zerg versus Protoss pick for Habitation Station is going to be what wins CJ the game. GG.
Hydra, what a build, what a great play there. Calmly takes a sip from his drink, and now he's going to stand up with his jacket. Takes it in the ace match for CJ Entis. He's the winner.
A solid win, a weird game. identified what was coming his way. And you know what? Hydra timing versus Stalker timing. If the Zerg player has enough economy to get those Hydras out, then when those two meet and the battle begins, when they collide, the Hydras are always going to take that win.
Yeah, there was a time where Hydra was on, I think, 40 drones, and we were talking about whether or not he was going to stick there and go for the attack. But he actually droned up to around 60. And if he didn't have that economy, you know, even at that moment, he could have been attacked. And he was just brave enough to go for so many drones in that moment. And with that economy, he was able to produce just enough units to hold off Creator. The attack with the Time Warp was so close. Creator crushed in that defeat, but once the Time Warp was done and the extra Hydras came out with the Roaches, it was just too much.
That was a very flashy end of the game. Creator, his micro, honestly, couldn't have been much better. It's just really an issue of composition. Fighting pure gateway units against only, you know, Hydralists with like a few links to support is never going to work unless you have an overwhelming amount. Now, you know, I don't know what Choya was trying to communicate to him. We don't know what they were talking about prior to the match starting. Choya is the first to appear on the scene after the loss. Marine King goes in there as well, the one who forced us to the ace match. And I think they're just trying to reassure him at this point. Really hard to say like what the original plan was for Creator. And, you know, things did not go according to it, no matter what it was.
Yeah, that was easy to see. It's hard to take a game like that. You're put out in the ace match. You're the ace for your team. You were so close to bringing Prime to one more victory, to pull it out of that deep, dark depths of the losers in round 3, and just so close for him. Having to take that loss is a big one on the chin.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Creator is just not